Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something a little different today.
Different, how so?
Well, we're all about going deep, right? And today, we're taking a deep dive into a deep dive.
Whoa, meta. Lay it on me.
We're exploring Roger Ebert's 2002 review of, you guessed it, E.T. But here's the twist. He rewatched it with his grandkids.
Ah, Ebert, always bringing the heart. I love how he used that experience to talk about point-of-view filmmaking.
What point of view, you say?
It's about how the director, in this case Spielberg, makes us see and feel the story through the eyes of the characters.
Got it. So, we're not just watching the movie, we're kind of living it through them.
Exactly. And Ebert's granddaughter, Raven, totally picked up on this. She asked, is this E.T.'s vision?
Wow, that's insightful. A kid getting what some film critics might miss.
It's like she instinctively understood Spielberg's magic. He puts us right in E.T.'s shoes. Well, if you wore shoes, that is.
Okay, I'm seeing it now. Think about those first scenes. The spaceship, those beams of light, even the jangling keys on those guys' belts.
All from E.T.'s perspective. He's scared, lost, and we feel it because of how Spielberg frames those shots.
Subtle but powerful, right?
Totally. You're swept up in the story, but Spielberg's already working his magic.
What about those low camera angles? Like we're right down there at E.T.'s height.
Yes. We experience his confusion and wonder firsthand. It's not just visuals either.
You're right. The sound design, too. It's like when they're talking, we hear it muffled, almost like through E.T.'s ears.
Exactly. And this point of view mastery, it's not just for E.T. We see things through Elliott's eyes, too, you know?
Of course. We feel his wonder, his fear, as he connects with this, well, alien creature.
And Ebert makes a great point about this. Spielberg restricts our viewpoint on purpose.
Almost like he's saying, hey, this is what it feels like to be Elliott, to be E.T.
Precisely. Point of view filmmaking becomes the heart of the emotional experience here.
Okay, but there is that one scene, right?
Yeah.
Where we see Elliott's mom looking in the closet.
Ah, yes. Brilliant, isn't it? It breaks the pattern.
It's comic relief, for sure.
More than that, it makes you realize how much Spielberg has controlled your perspective up to that point.
For a second, we're in the adult world, not the kids. And it makes the rest of the film even more immersive.
Speaking of immersive, when the government agents show up, remember what Ebert said? We only hear snippets of their dialogue.
Like a kid would.
Exactly. It's like Spielberg is saying, remember being a kid, overwhelmed by grown-up stuff you don't quite get.
And the tension ramps up, mirroring Elliott and E.T.'s fear.
Powerful stuff. Even Ebert's 4-year-old grandson, Emil, was totally tuned in to this point of view thing.
Wait, how so?
When the bikes take off, he shouts, they're flying away from the bad guys. He gets who we're rooting for and against.
Even without it being spelled out, just through how the story is presented.
That's Spielberg for you.
Oh, and remember that chase scene before the bike flight? Ebert found it a bit long, even as a seasoned critic.
But that payoff, even he felt the exhilaration when those bikes soared.
It wasn't just spectacle, though.
True. It's the culmination of all that point of view buildup. We're feeling that freedom with Elliott and E.T.
The impossible becoming possible.
And that's why E.T. hits so hard for people of all ages, right?
Totally. It's about connection, wonder, magic, and Spielberg nails it.
He makes the unbelievable feel real thanks to that point of view. Masterful storytelling.
Speaking of magic, that ending, when E.T. goes home, remember what little Emil said?
About the figure in the doorway, how could I forget? That's E.T.'s mommy, he says.
Spielberg never tells us who it is, but Emil just knows.
He's seen the world through E.T.'s eyes the whole film. Point of view at its finest.
It shows how much Spielberg trusts his audience, right? We don't need things over-explained.
He lets the visuals and emotions do the talking.
Exactly, and Ebert highlights this. Spielberg only explains what needs explaining.
Like he's saying, I know you're smart enough to get it. Feel it.
And we do feel it. Sometimes showing beats telling, especially with a storyteller like Spielberg.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And you know, that's a great point that Ebert brings up about great movies.
Yeah. What's that?
Less is more. The less explanation, the better sometimes.
I see what you mean. It's like Spielberg knows we can put things together ourselves. He trusts our intuition.
Exactly. Remember that example he gives about how a lesser filmmaker might have added subtitles in that last scene?
Oh yeah, like spelling out who's in this spaceship.
Yeah. Like, E.T., is that you? It's Mommy.
I can see it now, totally cheesy.
Right. It would have ruined the emotional impact.
It's like that scene where Elliott's toys come alive.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Spielberg doesn't explain how, but we go with it.
We're just so caught up in Elliott's world and that connection with E.T.
It's all about suspending our disbelief, isn't it?
and point of view. It's the filmmaker's secret weapon for that.
It's not just about showing us what's happening. It's about making us believe it, you know? Really feel it.
It really is. And so that kind of brings up a question for you.
Okay, shoot.
What does all this mean to you as someone who loves film? What can we take away from Ebert's ideas about E.T. and this whole point of view thing?
That's a good question. I guess for me, it's a reminder that filmmaking, it's not just entertainment, right?
Right.
It can really connect with us on a deep level, almost human.
I agree. And this point of view, it's essential to making that connection happen.
It's like a bridge, I guess.
Yeah, a bridge between the screen and us. We step into the character's shoes and experience it all through their eyes.
You know, it's funny thinking about it.
What is it?
Ebert's review, it almost does the same thing, doesn't it?
How so?
He's sharing his experience watching E.T. with his grandkids. So we're not just getting some technical analysis.
Right.
We're seeing it through his own eyes. His love for his family, his love for film.
That's a really interesting point. It makes his analysis so much more personal.
And that's what makes him such a great writer, I think. He's like inviting us into the conversation.
A shared experience.
Exactly. He's not telling us what to think. He's showing us how he sees it.
And encouraging us to see it in a new way.
To see it with fresh eyes, yeah. And you know what? Speaking of seeing things with fresh eyes,
Yeah.
Ebert leaves his grandkids, and really all of us, with a challenge at the end of his review.
What's that?
He asks them to think about other films that use point of view well.
I like that. It's like he's passing the torch.
To the next generation of film lovers.
And to all of us, really. He wants us to be more engaged viewers.
Not just watching, but analyzing, questioning things.
Appreciating the art of it all.
Exactly. And that brings us to the question we want to leave you with today.
Okay, what's that?
What films have you seen that really nail this point of view thing?
Think about the films that stuck with you long after they were over. The ones that made you feel something.
Chances are point of view played a big role in that.
And as you think about those films, think about this too. Do certain types of films use this better than others?
That's a great question. We want to hear your thoughts.
Share them with us on social media. Let's keep this conversation going.
Because that's what the deep dive is all about.
Diving deep into ideas.
Sparking that curiosity.
Exploring the power of stories.
And hey, even if you're not a film buff,
This whole point of view thing.
it's something we see every day, right?
In the news, in the stories we hear, even in conversations.
Whose perspective is being shared, and how does that change how we understand things?
It's a simple question, but it really matters.
So keep an eye out for those point of view moments in your day.
You might be surprised by what you find.
Absolutely. You know, thinking about different types of films and point of view,
Yeah.
horror movies, they really play with that, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. They use it to build suspense, make you scared.
It's like you're often seeing things from the killer's point of view,
Yeah.
stalking their victims.
Yeah, it can be really unsettling,
Makes you think about that darker side of things, you know?
for sure. And it's not just what you see.
Right. What about the sound? All those creaky doors and stuff?
Yeah. Exactly. Those sudden noises, the music, it's all designed to keep you on edge.
It's like the filmmaker's messing with your head.
Totally. And then you've got those found footage movies.
Like Blair Witch Project.
Yeah. That shaky camera, it puts you right in the middle of everything, makes it feel so real.
You're not just watching, you're experiencing it, right?
Exactly. Feeling all that terror and confusion with the characters.
And it's not just horror either. What about sci-fi? Like District 9?
Right. They use that mockumentary style with news footage and interviews.
To explore those big themes, like xenophobia.
It made it feel so urgent, so real.
Like you're watching a real event, not just a movie.
And that makes the message hit harder, you know? Makes you think about what you would do.
Pretty powerful stuff.
It really is. And that's what point of view can do, right?
It changes how we understand the story.
Yeah.
It can even make us question things, see the world differently.
Reminds us that there's always more than one side to every story.
Multiple perspectives, different ways of looking at things.
Exactly. So next time you watch a movie,
Think about whose point of view you're seeing.
ask yourself, why is the story being told this way? What does it tell me about the characters?
It's a small thing, but it can really change how you experience a film
You start to see those choices the filmmaker made, you know?
and how they affect you as a viewer.
It helps you become a more, how do you say, active viewer. Not just watching passively, but really thinking about it.
Well, I think it's safe to say we've reached the end of our deep dive here.
Into Ebert's review of E.T. and this whole idea of point of view filmmaking.
We've seen how Spielberg uses it so well to make us feel those emotions, connect with the characters,
And hopefully we've inspired you to watch movies with a new perspective.
to think a little deeper about what you're seeing,
Maybe even inspire you to tell your own stories someday.
using point of view to make them unique and unforgettable.
Until next time, keep exploring
Keep questioning.
and keep diving deep into those stories.
Happy watching, everyone.